Retired supermodel Gaby walks into the house with her manager Dan. Dan informs Gaby he has returned to the city a short while later, but he plans to try to return tomorrow. But Gaby doesn't want to stay there by herself. Dan offers for her to read the scripts for the movies he selected. He is informed by Gaby that there isn't much precedent of models pursuing acting careers. Dan encourages her since he wants what's best for his client. When Dan leaves, Gaby stores her belongings in the closet. She puts her Joe Lang aftershave on her wrists and puts her toiletries in the bathroom. Startled by the creaky door, she turns around. On the living room couch, she reads the scripts. The front door rattles as if someone is trying to open it from the outside. Gaby opens the door when she hears a knock, and JC, the delivery man, hands her her stuff. The man claims that because becoming a fashion designer is his dream, he only delivers part-time. Gaby furiously shuts the door after realizing that JC recognized her, and the man rides off on his scooter. While staring at her aging face in the bathroom, Gaby notices that her skincare products are in the trash. She laughs when she realizes she knocked them over. She sees someone opening the bedroom door in her dream that night as she watches from her bed. Dan asks Gaby whether she's comfortable living in his house, and Gaby says yes, but adds that it's unusual. She says she feels the house is alive. She doesn't feel alone there. She believes it to be a spirit. Gaby returns to the living room after Dan has left and discovers a note on a side table that reads, "Spirits don't use Joe Lang." Gaby dashes over to Dan's car to find out why he thought it was funny to leave the note. After looking at the page, Dan says the writing is not his. Gaby is confused and returns to the house, but she discovers another note that says, "I am not your enemy." The woman dashes out from the house to call the police. But it fails. Later, she asks JC to check the house, but JC finds nothing unusual. JC informs Dan that he looks through every room except the cellar. Dan heads downstairs to check it out and says it's empty. Gaby accuses Dan of keeping her in the house and having an accomplice drive her insane to get rid of her as a client. Dan, looking frustrated, asks what she wants. Dan remains by Gaby's side to ensure she's well. The two leave for dinner and return several hours later, apparently drunk. After chasing Gaby around the house, Dan kisses her and has fun. Gaby says that it wasn't a good idea to sleep together. Later in bed, Gaby talks about Jimmy, her childhood friend and first love. She says Jimmy was her only friend in school. She did not find him attractive, but they made love. Gaby says they slept together and then went to the beach for the entire day. He drove her home on his scooter, but he died in an accident on the way back. Gaby says she's felt his spirit watch over her. Later that night, when Gaby wakes up and finds that Dan has left, she starts packing her bags. Later, as she lies back in bed, she is startled when the bedroom door suddenly swings open and the chair moves on its own. A man with well-groomed hands and a blonde wig emerges from behind the wardrobe, frightening Gaby and making her scream. When she awakens the next morning, she sees Dan getting dressed. She wonders if the horrifying experience was a dream. Afterwards, she goes to the side table. Here she leaves notes for the ghosts, asking if they can see and if she knows who they are. She puts on makeup and dresses like a model for a magazine cover. She asks the spirit if she's attractive because she still thinks she looks good. Instead of responding, it tears her magazine and tosses it out the window. Gaby dashes outside to get it. In the living room, Gaby tells the spirit whom she believes is Jimmy that she has fulfilled all of her dreams as a model. Now that her glory years are over and none of Dan's scripts are good, she believes she needs to try something new. When she asks if Jimmy can hear her, the spirit doesn't respond. That night, Gaby is awakened by stones being thrown at her bedroom window by Mickey, JC's friend. Mickey claims that speaking with the former model might be his only chance to break into the fashion industry. Then the men come in. Mickey walks up to Gaby and gives her a neck kiss. He touches her, and she gently brushes his hand away. Mickey explains that JC wants to network in the fashion industry, which is why they are there. Gaby knows they want to sleep with a supermodel. Mickey tells JC to leave so that he and Gaby can be by themselves. When JC leaves, Mickey gives Gaby a kiss. Mickey keeps approaching Gaby in an unwanted manner. The man beats her, pins her to the couch, and tells her to do as he says. All Gaby can do is cry and pretend it's a nightmare. An invisible hand snatches Mickey off her and throws him to the floor. Mickey launches punches into the air, but the spirit strikes him across the face. Mickey stumbles back outside and screams. The following day, Gaby tries to make the spirit visible by blowing cigarette smoke. After the spirit shoots smoke back at her, Gaby reaches out to touch the spirit. Spirit pulls back. Gaby asks why he doesn't want her to touch him. The spirit throws the coffee pot at Gaby's face as she looks for a mug in the cabinet. Shocked and in pain, Gaby falls to the floor, clutching her face. Then she goes to the cellar and opens the wardrobe, finds the blonde wig she saw on the strange man in her dream along with some dusty jackets. At the bottom of the wardrobe, she discovers a yellow box containing numerous similar pictures of the man in the dream. But just as she closes the wardrobe, she sees the man in the mirror. The spirit pushes her and knocks her over a table. Gaby is then taken advantage of by the spirit. Gaby tries to forget the terrifying experience by remembering the first time she kissed Jimmy at the beach. That evening, when Dan comes home, he is shocked to see Gaby's face covered in bandages. Gaby tells him the man in the picture has been there all the time. Dan asks where she found the picture. The cellar, she says. Dan goes to investigate, but he finds nothing. He returns to the living room and tells Gaby that the man in the picture is Michael Giges, an actor from 15 years ago who dressed like a woman and played feminine roles, making him famous. The actor's career ended 10 years ago, and he sold everything he owned, including Dan's home. Dan tells Gaby to go to the hospital after removing the bandages from her face to see her burns. Dan is suddenly hit in the head by the spirit, who then covers Gaby's mouth with his hand. After waking up, Gaby finds Michael seated on a chair. Michael says his story resembles hers. Like her, he was famous, and although he initially enjoyed retirement, he couldn't stand it when people forgot who he was. He asks her to imagine what she could do if she could become invisible and influence people's lives. Michael claims he failed the test because it took him too long to realize it was a blessing. He used his invisibility to choose evil, felt contempt for what he had done, he hid in the house and wrote scripts under a pseudonym. The man says his stories freed him from his demons without anybody suffering. Even so, Gaby's visit awakened old demons in him, and the only way he could find peace was to give the woman the ring. Michael begs her to accept the ring so he can turn his curse into her blessing. Gaby tells herself that he is only a dream and will eventually disappear. Gaby finds invisible eyes at the bottom of the stack when Michael tells her to read his script. The man wrote all of the text since Gaby got to the country house. Upon turning the final page, she discovers there is no ending, and Michael tells her the finish of the story, along with his fate, is in Gaby's hand. Gaby quickly picks up Dan's car and heads back to the city. Weeks later, Dan shows Michael the house because the actor wants to buy it back. When Dan asks where the man has been since retiring from acting, he replies that he has been in the house without being there. Dan doesn't know where Gaby went, but he hopes she defeats the demons in her dreams. Meanwhile, Michael is curious as to whether he or Gaby wrote their story, but he thinks it doesn't matter since everyone's life is an illusion. In Gaby's revision of the day at the beach with Jimmy, Gaby tells him to spend the night at her house to prevent an accident. Gaby wears Michael's gold ring as they ride his scooter away. If you found this video interesting, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel.